Okie dokie. So today is kind of a rest day, but even on the rest days, I like to do some kind of activation exercise, some active rest. And, what is an active rest or what is activation? Activation is basically where you're preparing your nervous system to do intense exercise afterwards. And so you might have heard of morning activations where calisthenics athletes, especially like the top level ones, will do a little training in the morning to then do a big session in the afternoon or the evening. And basically, an activation like the day on the rest day is kind of the same, except, I'm preparing my nervous system from the day before. So today, I'm just going to do 3 sets. And the way I like to do it is basically I do 1 to 3 sets when I do these activations. I don't do more because then I'm just going to get tired. And on these sets, they're very short, but I just try to focus on making the sit as swift as possible. I don't try to preserve power. I try to, do the sit with all my power, but I cut the sit short. So I'm gonna now do. I have weight on my feet. I'm gonna do a weighted planche press, and I'm gonna try and do it in as smoothly as possible. Using my power, using explosiveness. But I'm not gonna go downwards into a negative and try to go for another press because then I would be, hitting on my limit. And I want to prevent going to failure, but I do want to feel that powerful activation, that explosiveness in my muscles. And by not going to the limit, it will not affect my recovery for tomorrow. In fact, it will just activate, activation. It will activate my nervous system. So let's go. 3 sets of just a small hold to a planche press. All right, so it may not look like I'm trying to make it smooth and powerful. That's because there's weight on my feet, but trust me, I'm trying. And then I'm not doing the negative because, like I said, I don't want to go to my max. No, 2 more sets, and then yeah, that's gonna be it for today's training. Not much going on, but I think days like these are very important as well. I'll explain more after the sets as to why I think they are important. All right, so that's gonna be it for today's training. On the last set, I really focused on grabbing the bar as tightly as possible, having a strong grip. And, forearms are very important in planche, to have that stronger grip. And as soon as you really focus on squeezing the bar with your entire surface area, you will really notice that your hold starts to become more stable. You start to be able to express more power in that planche because everything goes through your hands, right? So the more tightly it is on the bar, the better you will be able to transfer power from your shoulders into that bar. It only makes sense, right? So that's what I really focused on the last sit, and it did feel better. So try it yourself. But anyway, the reason I think activations are important is because planche is a skill, and not only is the activation important for planche, but for any other calisthenics skill as well. The front lever, or maybe the impossible dip, whatever, right? The handstand. There are many skills, L-sit. Everything is a skill basically, right? Even dips in a sense are a skill because there is, you have to be skilled in order to execute a dip or a pull-up or a push-up efficiently. And so if you train it more frequently, you have more opportunity for your body to adapt. It's not only the case for sports, but if you take a piano player, right? You have a guy practicing 7 hours on Sunday once a week, and then you have a guy who practices 1 hour daily. Normally, the guy who practices daily is going to have better results because he is able to, get the feeling of the piano more frequently. He's not going to feel rusty when he gets back to his practice because he's always in the zone, right? And so even if you train planche or any skill for that matter, even if you train it only once a week or twice a week, right? If you do these little activations in between, like say in the morning you do 1 to 3 sets, and you keep them short, right? You don't want to tire yourself out. But if you can do that on a daily or almost daily basis, you will notice that your gains are just gonna explode. The only reason that your gains wouldn't explode is if your activations are turning into a workout itself. You don't want to get tired during the activation you want to feel fresh at the end of them. I'm feeling fresh right now, right? If I rest 5 minutes, I'm gonna be able to do, or I'm gonna be stronger at the planche than I was before when I started these 3 sets, right? So I'm feeling fresh at the end of it. And as long as you can feel fresh at the end of your activations, they're gonna make your gains explode in any skill, right? No matter what skill you're training. So yeah, that's why I think they're important. Tomorrow, I think I will start a little bit, a mini series, I guess I can call it. 7 days of training. People have been asking for my workout split, and I've got a workout split at the moment, which I think I'll keep for a while. So I might as well introduce it. So yeah, that's gonna be, I guess, fun, hopefully interesting too. But yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for another push day.